which would you rather see return to the city of Pittsburgh?
I'm going to say Phil Kessel is the one I'd rather see return, and there's a couple of great reasons for it that I'm sure I'll get into. But mostly, I just think the Fleury thing is it's not time yet, man. He's still a starting caliber goalie, and sure, 1A, 1B works great, and we can get into this discussion later.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what this team needs right now, and it's not what Tristan Jarry needs with the momentum he's carrying as the starter at this moment.
So. Yeah. That's fair, and I'm sure we'll get into the minutia of that.
Yeah.
I would rather see Marc-Andre Fleury return though. I would. Of the two, I would. Not that there's anything wrong with Phil Kessel, and honestly, I may leave the door open for both of them by the end of this segment. I'll see how my discussion starts to permeate in my brain, but I would rather see Marc-Andre Fleury because you said he's still a starting caliber goaltender. I understand that, but the end of the road is coming for Fleury a lot quicker than it's coming for Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. We're talking about those guys having 3 more years, and that's what they're looking at. Marc-Andre Fleury had thought about retirement after this season. So if he's coming back on a 1-year deal, I would much rather see Marc-Andre Fleury, even if it's a 1A, 1B situation. I don't think there's any way in which he should be the starter over Tristan Jarry next season. But if he comes in and is the 1B, I know fans are going to clamor for him to get more starts. But if Mike Sullivan is able to control that situation, then I'd much rather have Marc-Andre Fleury if I had to choose between the two.
Fans absolutely would be clamoring for it first. But I just feel that regardless of that situation, it's because you look at the numbers he put up. Sure, let's take the playoffs out of it because playoff Fleury is still playoff Fleury.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. That's a coin flip.
Yeah. But post trade to Minnesota, because you really also shouldn't take the Chicago stuff into these discussions just because he was in Chicago. There was a lot of things going on in Chicago, not even just on the ice. There was just utter nonsense happening that he shouldn't have been there in the first place. I think when the trade happened, we said on this podcast, he has every right, not even for the play on the ice, to say no to this trade. But he was classy enough, said, I will go play in Chicago. And for what it's worth, he may have been the highlight of their season.
Yeah.
And then the trade to Minnesota happened. And then he went, oh, yes, 9-2. Yeah. No, Marc-Andre Fleury is definitely still, even at the age of 37, somehow still a starting caliber goalie. And again, I get the 1A, 1B situation is fun for a short period of time. And sure, it paid off into 2 Stanley Cups with Marc-Andre Fleury being one of those guys. But it was a different time because Marc-Andre Fleury was the starter, definite starter. But we had to pull up Matt Murray because of an injury to Marc-Andre Fleury. Matt Murray just continued his momentum that he had in the AHL and then just kind of usurped the role. That was the 16 year. And then in the 17 year, we realized we can play both of them because one of them's still a rookie, can still fall apart at any time. While it was a 1A, 1B situation, that's how it was in retrospect. In the moment, I feel like we were still looking at it as Fleury's kind of the starter here, maybe turning to the backup. But Matt Murray is still a young goalie who, goaltending is voodoo, could fall apart at any moment.
Yeah.
It was just a little delayed. So in retrospect, I think we look back at it as, it was definitely a 1A, 1B because they were both so highly skilled for a little while. But at the time, if looking back at it now, if we would have said Matt Murray fell apart, we ended up losing whenever, maybe not even making the playoffs in 17 because Matt Murray couldn't get it done. Well, then we look at it as, Fleury sticks around. It's all revisionist history.
Yeah.
Essentially 1A, 1B is what we had, but we look back at it as that way. Whereas we have a definite number 1 now in Tristan Jarry, who's gaining so much momentum as the starting goalie in this town.
Yeah.
I forget what his contract is at the moment, but still has a couple years left in this town as the starting goalie.
He has 1 season left. He's going into a contract year.
And hey, you got to give him his full reps then.
You really don't, because at the end of the day, I like Tristan Jarry. I'm saying he is the number 1 guy, even with Marc-Andre Fleury. But if you need something to push him, look at the last 2 postseasons. What has killed the Penguins? Tristan Jarry couldn't get it done last postseason. He was awful, abysmal, and there was nobody behind him. It was Maxime Lagacé. They didn't have somebody else to go to. And then this season, Jari was injured. Casey DeSmith gets injured for the second straight postseason, and you're down to Louis Domingue. This is a league where unless you have an Andre Vasilevsky, a Jacob Markstrom type guy, you need two good goaltenders. I'm not going to bang on Casey DeSmith and say that he's not good, but he has not been available. And as a backup or a 1B, the best ability is availability. And he hasn't been there when the time is most important for him the last 2 seasons. So you know what I say? Bring in Fleury, make him be the 1B. Listen, Mike Sullivan should not care about the fans, and the fans can do whatever they want. If Fleury comes in to be the 1B at the age of 37 and wants one last season to end his career where it started and where he played the majority of a Hall of Fame career, I say you do it. For 1, because it's a great PR move.
Yes.
For 2, because he's extremely talented. And for 3, because that is an area of need. Because the last 2 postseasons, this Pittsburgh Penguins team is a team that could have gone on a run, but hasn't because of injuries to goaltenders and lack of depth. I like what they have in the minors. I like Lindbergh. I like the guy they just signed from the WHL that I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I like, who else is over there? Blomqvist just came over. I like what they have in the minors on the way up, but it's not going to be ready by next season.
No.
So if you need a 1-year guy, a 1-year bridge to that younger generation of goaltenders to come up behind Tristan Jarry, there's nobody better, in my opinion, than Marc-Andre Fleury.